I actually didn't watch the whole game because
Oh,
I got lured by Sam to play video games. I don't know if I should be saying that to throw Sam under the bus, but he did
Whoa,
lure me to get on and play video games, so I didn't really watch the second half. So
whoa.
my analysis might not
oh
be as good as
no.
it could have been, and we can all blame Sam. Just kidding, it was my
Well,
decision. But
Wow.
to be fair, I had
What
it playing on my second monitor.
what game was more important?
well, we played Lethal Company.
Oh
We were
my.
playing okay, anyways, besides the point. No, so Sam's argument is pretty laughable. I
I ain't in the mood, I ain't hit the groove, I ain't hit the mood.
What's up, everybody? It is the A Win is a Win podcast. I'm pretty excited to have an episode today. It's been a little bit since we have recorded a podcast, but that's okay. Gave ourselves a little bit of a Christmas, New Year's kind of break, and now ready to jump into it. Sports were kind of fading a little bit in that time frame. Granted, we did have some college football bowl games and some NBA games here and there, but nothing of real importance. However, these past couple of weeks, we have had games of importance in both the college football realm as well as the NFL realm, which is what we are going to talk about today. But before we get into all that kind of stuff, anything that you boys, H Double or Sam Cookie, has to say before we roll into that?
I do. I have a couple things. I'll say one and then let Sam go. But I would like to say over the holiday break, I extended my mini golf win streak against Autumn because we all ended up playing and I won again. And I extended my Mario Party winning streak. It was me, Sam, Kevin, and Autumn, and I won again. I think it's 5 in a row now of Mario Party games I've played that I've
Yeah,
won. And so I'm riding high, and I feel like I'm really enveloping the a win is a win theme here. I'm getting wins and things I do. That's what our podcast is about. We're about wins, no matter how you get there. And Mario Party is a great example of that. No matter how you get there, as long as you win, it's all that matters. And so I feel like I should get a raise, to be honest.
denied.
Matt?
I denied it.
I'll have to look at the finances of the podcast, see if we can get. I'll get back to you on that one.
I also just might have gotten a text that said shut up, but
That's-
I'm not going to say from who. Anyways,
Really?
Sam,
I
you can
told you
go.
to shut up from like the other room. She can hear you.
Maybe,
That's
but
funny. Gosh, I am pretty disappointed to lose that game of Mario Party though. I remember playing it because I'm pretty sure I had like a 2-star lead on you for a little bit, but
hey, man.
no, choke is a choke. LeBron would know. I might have to text him next time that happens. But one announcement that I want to make, of course, I mean, I'm glad to be back with you guys. It has been a fat minute since we've had our last podcast episode, so it's good to be back. But I also wanted to say there was another important sporting event that happened. This is more in the friend group range of things than more like worldwide. But I want to preface this by saying to our audience, you're actually looking at the winner of the Cool Kids Club
Oh,
fantasy football playoffs.
okay.
My first championship in like 8 years. You guys gave me so much crap before for choking year after year, and I finally won. I finally did it. So
Well,
bow
if
down
you
to
were like Eric, it didn't really run your mouth. We wouldn't have given you crap. That's why it was such a running theme among us because you tended to be one that would run your mouth in the fantasy chat, which I honestly really enjoy because I do it in Max League now. But you actually didn't this year and you won. So I think that's saying something. You were
That's
pretty
true.
chill. You didn't really say
That's
much.
true. Yeah, I toned it down a little bit. I told myself I would tone it down and rejuvenate my team that way, and it worked out. I rode behind McCaffrey's back, and he carried me to the championship. I mean, what more can I say?
Yeah,
I mean,
that was.
ETN and Connor kind of carried you in that last game.
Oh, they
But
definitely did
Wait,
too.
yeah, Sam,
Yeah.
who did you beat again in the championship? I forgot.
Oh gosh. Um,
I forgot
I
who you
was too
played.
busy like popping champagne bottles when I won. I kind of forgot to.
Pretty
Uh,
sure that they were saying stuff in chat about
I think his
losing
I
and
think his last name is like Bozo or something. No, I'm kidding. To be fair, Matt's credit, he did win a league as well. credit to him.
Hey, me too.
I
I was
believe
on
it
his
was,
team.
yeah, it was also, I was gonna
Thank
say
you.
Charles' credit a little bit too. So we're all winners. We're
I
all
mean, did win the regular season of fantasy again this year, but just could not get over the finish line. I wish my team had played Sam in the other 2 weeks because I would have beat him. But when it mattered most, didn't win. So,
I mean, honestly, just sounds like the Cowboys to me.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm the Cowboys because I actually won a couple games and made it to the championship. I think you
Yeah.
could say I'm like one of the 1991 Bills, who got to the championship and then lost. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
okay. That's fair. Maybe like I think it's 97 when the Patriots were in the
Yeah,
Super
when
Bowl
we
two.
lost to the Packers.
Yeah. That's like pre-dynasty
Yeah,
Patriots.
Yeah, which of
but
course Bill is
I think
gone
I'm
now.
during the pre-dynasty. I think I'm during the dynasty. So honestly, I think I'm the Pats and you are the Giants. You barely got in there. You're
I
like,
could
oh,
see that. I could see that. Yeah.
then you beat
It's
us.
honestly no, it's more like Matt is the current day because Matt has had a good track record against Sam in the playoffs. It was more like Matt was the Bengals and Sam was the Chiefs, and then last year happened when the Chiefs finally took down the Bengals. You know how he was like 0-3 against Burrow, that type of vibe. That's how I
Okay.
compare it. Yeah.
I
And
could see that.
so
I could see that with Matt's team too, because he always has Jamar Chase.
Bro,
You
I
always
don't.
make sure to have Jamar on your team.
I always have Jamar, and I have no idea how I
I
get
have
him.
no idea.
he honestly was kind of mid this year. I mean, of course, that's just
Mhm.
because Burrow wasn't really healthy, but yeah.
Mhm.
I was gonna real quick though, my other thing, I have a little surprise for you guys, a little fun thing that I'm gonna be doing every intro for the next couple episodes. This
Okay.
is something I did with Matt a couple years ago. It was really fun. I had a good time with it. And so what I did, I have a lot of old games. And so one of my old NBA games, I am able to put ourselves, I can create players, put ourselves in to the game and put us in in a draft to go to a team, that type of thing. And so I created us three, and I'm a point guard. Sam is a shooting guard because we saw what you did at Drury. Everyone knows. Matt is also
You're right.
Matt is also a shooting guard because Matt is a shooter, and so
Matt
those
is
are your guys' positions. We're all 70 overalls because that's pretty fair for a rookie. And we're just going to see how our careers go. But all I have for you this time is where we got drafted to what team. And then the next time I'll tell you a couple years in how we've done, what our stats are, if we've won any awards, that type of thing. So,
okay.
and we're also I'm 5'11, Sam's 5'10, Matt's 6 feet. I put our real heights in there, so we'll probably struggle against
Fair.
the trees of the NBA. But
That's fair.
all right, who would like to know where they got drafted, when, and where first?
Sam.
Sam.
Sure. Tell me.
Sam, you were drafted 40th overall
Ooh, okay.
by the Chicago Bulls.
Oh, that's
Yo!
awesome.
So
Wow.
but remember, this is 2004 though. There's no Derrick Rose.
Oh,
So you're
yeah.
playing with I think Luol Deng, rookie Luol Deng's
Yeah.
on there, and
I
yeah.
barely know.
So you're playing on the Bulls.
That's like
Matt,
post MJ LeBron too. Not LeBron, Michael Jordan.
right? You just I think Scottie Pippen might be on that
Just
team
missed him. I don't
as
know.
a 17-year veteran. I can't remember.
He was on his
Anyways,
way out at the time, definitely.
Matt was drafted 51st. So Sam was taking 11 spots before Matt. So
Okay. That's
Matt might
okay.
have a little chip on his shoulder because
Yeah,
Sam
chip
was
on your
drafted
shoulder.
before
Right.
him.
Right here's the chip. Right here.
And Matt was drafted by the Boston Celtics. And this
Let's
is
go.
the young Paul Pierce days Celtics. So this
Oh,
is before the
nice.
big three. But that's who Matt got drafted by. And I got drafted 36th overall. I think
Ooh,
because point guard in that game is more valuable, and I put myself as that because that's my true position. I
that's
got
fair.
drafted to the Golden State Warriors.
Okay.
Ooh.
So yeah, that's all I'll give you right now. So we know where we are. And from there, it's just whatever the computer simulates, we'll see what happens. Oh, also, I know you guys are probably curious. We're making about 2.6 mil a year. Matt and I have 2-year contracts. Sam has a 1-year contract. So Sam is actually technically a free agent after this year if the Bulls don't re-sign him. So
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
on a prove it deal.
there you go. That's I'll next time I'll let you guys know how the rookie year went, maybe a couple years in. So and how the teams did, of course. So yeah,
Cool.
you can look forward to that next episode.
Yeah, Charles has always been known to simulate sports like that with his real life friends. I remember you did it in backyard baseball. You also did it in like 2K13.
Yeah, we had
Doing like
the
every
backyard
sport game
baseball.
you
I
know.
I made a team of all of us, and I put on the hardest difficulty, and the create your player is so low. We went like we started off like 0 and 10 because I just kept getting wrecked because it was too difficult because our players just weren't good enough. But yeah, that's my kind of my thing. I love doing that stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
you guys will know what happens next episode, where how you did your rookie year, and yeah. So Matt's got that chip.
Bro, I can't believe I was taken last out of everyone, but hey, it's okay. I get it. I understand. I think also the last time we did this, I think I got taken after you again, Charles. I think to like the Cavs or something, but then I had like the most
I remember what happened. Yeah, just real quick, you got drafted by the Suns. They let you go after a year. You're in the Sam's position. You signed with the Cavs with young LeBron, and you ended up winning 2 championships. But you made it to like 5 finals, so
yeah.
quite a dynasty run, to be honest. So
yeah.
hey, doesn't matter where you're drafted, right? It just matters what you do.
I guess, yeah. You need to hook us up with LeBron sometimes. I didn't realize you had that pass.
Oh, that's why I can't make a song about him. It's hits home deep.
It's in respect.
Yeah,
though.
great teammates you two were. The chemistry, the
Right.
backcourt.
Yeah.
Honestly,
The original big two.
basically, I gave
The original big two.
Yeah.
my hairline. He gave me some of his playing ability, and it worked out great. So
That's true. That's fun.
But talking about LeBron and all his LeBumminess, let's talk about the team that LeBron does not like in college football, which is the Michigan Wolverines. For our first segment, we're going to do a quick little kind of recap everything. We're talking about Michigan versus Washington national championship / college football playoff. As you all know, I think hopefully if you watch the show enough or listen wherever you listen, hopefully you guys know that I'm a huge Michigan fan. Charles and Autumn live in Michigan, in Ann Arbor actually, because Autumn does go to the University of Michigan. So we were very happy. Oh yeah, and we have the Hutchinson shirt or jersey thanks to Charles's what is that? What is Autumn's dad, I guess.
Autumn's dad, yeah.
Yeah, Autumn's dad. I want to say father-in-law, but not yet, I guess. But super happy about Michigan, and I would love to talk about that and kind of the game, how we all think it's happening, and kind of go from there. So, Sam and Charles, you can take the floor first because I have a lot to say, but I don't want to take time. So
you have a lot to say, man. Okay.
I have a lot to say.
Well, it's a couple weeks. We've kind of brewed on this loss for a couple weeks now. Charles and I had to with the Washington Huskies. It would have been the perfect Pac-12 run to end the whole conference as a whole, but I know I personally was a little disappointed in watching it. Michigan definitely proved to be a lot better of a team. Their defense is legit, just like we all knew. It really kind of hurt on the inside to see Penix struggle so much. Most of his passes that he didn't complete were bad passes that were just his fault. I think he crumbled just a little bit under the pressure of being on like a true national stage like this. And the rest of his team also didn't really give too much help for Washington's sake. The Huskies, they were kind of firing on all cylinders. JJ McCarthy, he's him. I'll give him that. Their running back kind of balled out too as well. So I mean, credit to the Wolverines. They absolutely stomped Washington. I know the score doesn't seem as much, but I feel like it was more like 50-0 than 34-13.
What?
Looks like Sam didn't watch the game.
No. I did.
Well, let me just say this. I'll open up with this. So I actually didn't watch the whole game because I got lured by Sam to play video games. I don't know if I should be saying that to throw Sam under the bus, but he did lure me to get on and play video games, so I didn't really watch the second half. So
Whoa.
my analysis might not be as good as
no.
it could have been, and we can all blame Sam. Just kidding, it was my
Well,
decision. But
to
Wow.
be fair, I had
What,
it playing on my second monitor.
what game was more important?
well, we played Lethal Company.
Oh
We were
my.
playing okay, anyways, besides the point. No, so Sam's argument is pretty laughable. I I don't think he really was watching the game, and even I
No,
didn't watch the full thing, but it was definitely not 50-0. I don't know where you got that from.
well, I
If
think he
anything,
first quarter and then left.
right, yeah, it might have been like you saw the 17-3 and left type of thing, because actually it was a lot closer than that. And if anything, the score actually is bigger than what is larger than what the game showed. And you said, yeah, I think Michigan was a better team. I think they are the better team overall. But Washington did leave a lot out there that could have changed the outcome. And I know they had a rough start. Michigan's running game went all over Washington, 2 quick touchdowns, because of the running game. And you're thinking to yourself, oh boy. But as I told Matt this, I texted him. I know we knew Washington's defense wasn't that good, but it always seems to play good enough, or at least step up when they need it to give them a chance to win. And after that, and then the field goal when it was 17-3, besides those 2 touchdowns that were, like halfway through the fourth quarter and beyond, there was only a field goal off of the interception to start the half anyway. So their defense actually stepped up and played pretty well. And you said JJ McCarthy is him. He didn't really do that much, to be honest, that game. So yeah, but their defense gave him a chance to win for sure, because it was a 1 possession game for a while there. And Washington just couldn't capitalize. I do think Penix definitely struggled, but there's obviously some key moments that were, that could have changed the outcome. I know a lot of people want to talk about the holding call and the 35-yard pass. Do I think, since I didn't watch it, a lot of people were saying there's kind of just a lot of holding going on anyway, so it shouldn't have been called. Plus, when I watched it, did I think it was a big hold? No. But I don't think that one play means Washington got robbed by any means. If anything, Washington could have just kicked a field goal there and it would have been 20-16. But
Or they could have got an interception.
right. But of course, if it doesn't get called, which it probably shouldn't have, does it change the game? I mean, it changes it somewhat. It has to, because that's a big play. But the one play that I think really killed Washington, and they were able to rebound a little bit, was that 4th and 6 when they honestly had a touchdown. Odunze was open and they couldn't connect. That was more impactful than the holding call that was called on Washington, because that's probably a touchdown. So if you take that, at least that play into it, if they do score on that, it could be potentially 17-17 at half. I mean, there's a chance of it, and then it's a different game. So I think Washington did kind of shoot themselves in the foot a little bit, especially on offense. And I know their defense had the bad start, but they really did rebound. And it was definitely a winnable game, I think. But it shows you how good Michigan's defense has been all year. And I know Matt and I haven't been the highest on Penix as like a quarterback, like a prospect. I mean, he's still really good, but we had questions, and I think that those questions showed themselves in this game, because I know Michigan's defense is great, but with what he's, kind of expected of, or what he's done, you think he would play better and kind of go above that to lead them. But I mean, congrats to Michigan. They, like I said, they earned it. Obviously, that win over Alabama was kind of the one that felt more like the championship, I would say, even though I do think Washington could have been right there if only they executed a little better. But once they beat Alabama, I had a feeling they were going to beat Washington. Honestly, even though I wanted Washington to win with my heart because of the Pac-12, it would have been a cool story. But hey, I mean, Harbaugh, good for him. I know all the allegations, those were kind of dumb in my opinion, but he brought them a championship again. It had been since 96, I think. Last time they won, 97, before we were alive. So
the shared one too.
I will say real quick also, outside of, Harbaugh coming in and rebuilding and the defense and their great running backs, leading, and I think all the allegations fueled them, besides all that leading to the national championship, I think the most important thing is that the fact that I moved up here, because then they finally got over the hump once I got up here. So they can thank me for that, and I expect a championship ring in the mail. So that's all I'm saying. Because if I didn't come up here, You know what? I think that the Washington completes that fourth down, and I think they don't call holding. If I'm in Springfield still, I think Washington wins.
You think
So
So they can thank me for that.
does that go for all Michigan sports, such as like the Pistons, or
Well,
just?
what
I
about
was gonna say
hey,
the
what about the
Pistons too.
Lions? They won the first playoff game.
Whoa, spoiler!
They did.
We're gonna talk about that in a little bit, but
I mean, to be fair, they did, but your little piston streak did break though. A couple of
well,
weeks.
I haven't been following basketball as much, so we can just
Yeah.
That's just on you then, yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
congrats to Michigan. They deserved it. They were the best team in college football this year.
I'll kind of wrap up the subject just because I want the majority of like our next 25-ish minutes to be on the NFL stuff because I think that's more pertinent. But I was super stoked that Michigan won. I actually have a cool little thingy here. So.
I saw those shirts. I'm glad I didn't get one for you. Did you
Yeah.
did you order that?
Cool.
I ordered it like 20 minutes after we won.
Okay, good thing I didn't.
Without
I got you something
yeah.
else as you saw, but that's not the point.
Yeah, but I was super stoked because I was like, I've waited for this for a long time. Like none of my college teams have won. But I was just happy because there's so many allegations and people saying, "Oh, you did this," and I think it really brought the team together. And I could tell the team was special, had some good players and stuff, and it was just a great game. I do agree with Charles. Scoreline does not reflect how close the game was. It was 20-13 deep into the fourth quarter. And then Michigan just put in one good drive, made it 27-13, and then Washington was kind of driving down and then threw a pick. And that kind of like sealed the game a little bit. I believe it was it 34-13, I believe is what the score ended up being. Big congrats to Washington. They did the Pac-12 well. I mean, it's kind of awesome that the first college football playoff game, championship game was Ohio State, Oregon, right? Big Ten, Pac-12, and then the last one is Big Ten, Pac-12 of Washington, Michigan. I thought that was kind of nice. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be sad to not have Blake Corum, JJ McCarthy, a lot of our guys back. But that's how college football is. And Michigan's a big brand. We're going to be fine. We're going to play well, and it'll be interesting to see how everything goes next year. But hey, you're a champion, and guess what? Even if they don't get back to the championship game for like another 5, 6, 7 years, doesn't really matter because you have one, right? So I'm pretty happy. I know I'm just like, yep, this was a great season. So I just don't really have too much else to say because you guys did a great job, kind of saying everything else. So
that just real quick, that last thing, like I said about Penix, when like you said, it was 20-13 for a long time. That's when he has to be better to lead them to a drive to maybe tie the thing, and he couldn't do it. That's where he just wasn't good enough.
Or a field goal just puts pressure on Michigan, they're going to get some points, stuff like that.
Of course, the holding call, affects it because it was 20-13, right?
Yeah.
Which I know that was big play, could have been something, but still, I expected more. I did, honestly.
How about this? If you take that play away, does it really affect the whole game? Do you really think Michigan was going to lose that game? Probably not. Right? So, I mean,
if they convert the fourth down, maybe then. I
Maybe.
guess that would depend.
Maybe.
Yeah. But that's why that's more of an impact play than the holding call, to be honest. So,
yeah.
Because that's a touchdown if they connect.
That's kind of my little thing on Michigan. And we can move on to our next topic, which is the one we really want to talk about. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be recapping the wild card games in the NFL from each game, and then giving predictions of who's going to win. I like to give scores, so we can give scores too of what we think the next round is going to be. So let's start with the AFC games first, and then the NFC games first, and we'll do that for both, for the previous wild card round and then this divisional. So with the AFC, we'll go in order. So we had Bills versus Steelers, which got pushed back to Monday. I think this is a pretty quick recap. Basically, Bills were better. Steelers offense kind of sucks. I think we all kind of knew what was going to happen on that one. But the Bills look pretty good, and having home field advantage, not being that 6th seed, but they could have been, and going into or that 7th seed they could have been the Steelers, right? Instead, they're the 2 seed. That helps out a lot. So, what I gained from that Bills game and the Steelers game was Josh Allen looks good, and they look good at home. So that's kind of what I got from that game.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I was watching the game live as it was happening, but I knew from like the very first snap from the Steelers that they were going to lose. They had no chance to get to the Bills. They're a pretty solid 2 seed, I would say. They deserve the spot. And you kind of made a good point to where the 2 seed is especially important because I guess you can call it a little bit of spoilers, but for next week's divisional game with the Chiefs and the Bills, they're going to have a good home field advantage, I think, too, for having that 2 seed. But yeah, like you said, Josh Allen looked great. James Cook looked pretty solid too, but Josh Allen really did a good game, setting himself up for a good playoff run. It makes me a little scared as a Chiefs fan for next weekend. I don't know if we're going to pull through, but it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, I think you guys were pretty much right. The Steelers of these last few years always seem to overachieve, sneak into the playoffs. I have a couple comments to help me out to describe how we feel about the Steelers being in the playoffs and how we knew this game would happen. So this is a post from when the Steelers beat the Ravens week 18. And as you all know, the Ravens had clinched 1 seed, no starters. This comment said, and it got pinned, annual Steelers record padding win against the team resting starters. So that's week 18 to get them in because the Jags had lost, I think. That's what got them in or something. But
Yeah.
then we go to the actual game and predictable Steelers limping into the playoffs and getting humiliated in the wild card. So that was the other pinned comment. And like you guys said, you just knew it. I mean, it's the Steelers. They don't scare anyone. They somehow always overachieve. Mike Tomlin never has had a losing record. Somehow they get in. They're not scary though. We knew the Bills would win, and it looked like it early on. I was watching the game. I didn't really expect much else. So really nothing else to say. But I mean, congrats to, I guess, the Steelers for overachieving
Making the
again and
playoffs.
getting bounced immediately. But yeah, I mean, for the Bills, it's a great first game, I'd say, to play against them, to get rhythm going. But the Chiefs are going to be a much different test, which we'll get to. But
For sure.
yep, that's all I got to say on that.
And speaking of the Chiefs, that is the next game because the 3 versus 6 matchup. It was Chiefs and Dolphins. I believe wind chill was negative 10 or something like that. It was kind of
Nah, it was like negative 25 or something.
Was it?
It was higher 20s.
Once I saw that, and also I saw that the Dolphins were playing up there, that seemed like a pretty easy lock for the Chiefs. Dolphins don't play well on the road in the cold, which makes sense. Neither does Tua. And the Dolphins just, the very end of the year, just limped in. I think the Chiefs took advantage of the home field advantage. They really did take control of the home field advantage, I think. And, beat them pretty soundly. Like I said, I mean, I know Sam probably has more to say on it. I'd rather talk more about the wild card matchups and the previews because I think all those games are way better. But to me, this was an easy W for the Chiefs. Even on paper, I was like, I didn't need to watch this game, and not a lot of people did because it was on Peacock. So it was probably
that was the annoying thing too about it. I do agree that it was pretty predictable. Myself with a lot of other Chiefs fans kind of went off the bat and just saying the Dolphins had no chance coming into Arrowhead, with it being I believe the 4th coldest game in NFL history.
I think so.
Stat, yeah. But no, I like to think I'm a little bit delusional when I'm saying it, but knowing that the Chiefs only held the Dolphins to 7 points, it's probably mainly because of how cold the weather was. The Dolphins are terrible in cold weather, like away games, but our defense really stepped up, I think. It makes me really excited for next week against the Bills. My boy George Karlaftis, the little unbeknown Greek freak for the NFL at least. Credit to Giannis, but No, I think the defense is really good. L'Jarius Sneed did amazing as usual. He's probably one of the biggest Pro Bowl snubs too, I think, of this year. He didn't make a Pro Bowl. He's on the all pro team, yet he has been a shutdown quarterback all year this year. He shut down Tyreek all game. I was so happy to watch it. Trent McDuffie too, he balled out. Chiefs look amazing. The only complaint that I have was that from watching the game, we didn't really end up finishing a lot of drives strongly. One drive ended, we scored a touchdown, but it was a ridiculous, I mean, as usual, offsides called by Juwan Taylor. He's had like 20 calls like that this year, which is ridiculous. But I mean, we scored points in most drives. Most of them just ended up being field goals. And I mean, it's a lot more ideal to see touchdowns come from it. But hopefully we can improve on that a little bit next week and show up to the Bills and keep that rivalry going.
I'm trying to debate what's worse to sit through and listen. Is it Sam talking about the Chiefs or Matt talking about Michigan? I'm honestly having a tough time because tends to be a little biased and let me know about it, such as Sam talking about how there was snubs and his guys played great, of course.
Oh,
What if
I don't see the
what if
snub
L'Jarius
part.
Sneed wasn't a Pro Bowler? What if he just
I just
wasn't
want
good
to
enough?
He definitely was good enough.
I just want to say for my Michigan stuff, I didn't say, haha, told you Washington would lose. I was like, we did it. That's all I said.
I don't know,
To be
man.
fair,
Your texts are different sometimes. Anyways,
to be fair, I also don't let the opposing team down. I just hype my own team up. So you can call me like a perennial fan, and I'll take that.
yeah, agreed. Similar to the Steelers game. I mean, I didn't have any second thoughts about the Dolphins winning this game by any means. I didn't think they would. And you guys mentioned the cold weather with the Dolphins, which is very true. But I think what's even more true is that they are frauds and they cannot win against winning teams. All their wins were against non 500 teams, except for the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are the Cowboys, which we'll get to in a sec. So, yeah, the Dolphins just weren't that good. They're not that good right now. I knew they weren't going to win, and so not much more to say. I mean, I watched like the first quarter with Kevin, where he had on a stream, and then we got on the infamous Lethal Company, and we didn't watch it anymore after that. And once I checked the score, I was like, oh, I'm not shocked at all. So. Hey, let me say though, Mahomes' helmet shattering like that was crazy.
Yeah,
I honestly thought about if playing in that cold and like hitting the ground, going for a catch would just be awful. It's just freezing cold and like
for
scraping
sure.
up on
Yeah,
the grass or what. They play on grass, right? Or do they play on
yeah,
turf?
yeah. No,
Turf.
they
Grass.
play on
Yeah, I was
grass.
gonna. Oh, it's turf.
In Arrowhead, that's grass.
Okay, yeah. So like still scraping up on it would just be
But
terrible.
yeah. Either way, though,
Frozen grass. So it's basically like
Yeah,
playing
it's like
but it's like
yeah, concrete. I can
Well,
imagine it being like concrete with how cold it was out there. That'd be terrible.
the next game, I think probably the shocker in the AFC. I don't know if you call it a shocker, but maybe one that people maybe would
the
give.
score was a shocker. I will say
Score was
that.
But Texans beat the Browns, I believe, what was it, 42-14 or something like that?
45 to 14.
40, yeah.
45-14. Sorry, I missed the 3 points. CJ Stroud can ball. And let me tell you what, if I'm a Ravens fan, spoiler alert, Ravens fan, CJ Stroud could be that guy. Don't want to ruin the dream season, but, very good quarterback.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
yeah, CJ Stroud just took apart the Browns. The Joe Flacco dream season came to an end. The thing about it is I really hate resting starters and players the week before just because I feel like it gets you out of rhythm a little bit. Like I really wish Joe Flacco would have played a quarter or two in week 18. But, if all of a sudden he gets hurt, ACL tear, right, people get upset and say, hey, why didn't you rest them, etc. But the Texans just beat the Browns in every fashion. That's all I can really say about that. So this game also was not very close. So
You remember when we actually one of our first episodes was talking about the draft and the quarterbacks, and my personal, I know I said draft Anthony Richardson number one because of the potential, but I thought the best quarterback coming out was C.J. Stroud, and so did Matt. But I remember someone else said Bryce Young should be the number one pick, and I don't know. I mean, I
Yeah,
still believe Bryce Young could be good, but looking back on that, that was
hasn't
I
turned
don't
out to be a
know.
good pick. Yeah, I agree. I remember that was one of the first episodes we did.
Wasn't that you, Sam, who said Bryce Young should be number
Yeah,
one?
my vote was for Bryce Young.
But then me
Any,
and Charles both said CJ
well,
Stroud,
I
right?
said Anthony Richardson off of potential, but I thought C.J. Stroud was the best one right now. So
But
if you were doing that, I would have, yeah,
isn't that what you and I both said, though?
yeah.
And
So.
the only reason why I know about CJ Stroud so well is because of Michigan, right? Watching Ohio State. And I was like, oh, he can kind of throw the ball. Like,
Once I
pretty
saw
well.
the Georgia game, honestly, that's all I needed to see.
Well,
Anyways, that's besides the
anyway.
point. CJ Stroud's a baller. He's proved that now. Yeah, I didn't expect it to be as big of a blowout as it was. Honestly, I thought the Texans would win, but like I said, once I saw the halftime score and then I saw the two pick sixes, the next thing I knew it was 30, whatever it was. I can't remember off the top of my head. I went to myself, wow. Because I didn't watch this game. I was out doing errands. But hey, yeah, shout out to the Texans for turning it around, in one season. And you have to be excited for the future. And like you said, as a Ravens fan, I'm not taking them lightly by any means. And I know we'll get into this in a little bit, but last time we were the one seed and we rested 2 weeks in a row was not very good. So those demons are kind of there in my mind. And I know Houston could definitely beat us. If anything, just please don't let the Chiefs host another AFC Championship game. So Nick Wright can stop calling it the Arrowhead Invitational. So yeah, but I honestly, I guess Joe Flacco kind of fizzled out a little bit. He had a nice run, but the shocker was the Browns defense getting lit up like that. Which of course, two pick sixes are not against the Browns D, so that pads the stats a little bit. But they still, CJ Stroud still pretty much tore them apart for the most part. And the Browns defense was, top five easily going in. So
Oh, for sure.
I was honestly shocked by the score. I really was. I thought it'd be in the 20s, type of game. And so,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely scary for me.
I was too, definitely, watching the game. The Browns defense got torn up, which I was super surprised by. If we were to make an episode in the past, kind of recapping those wild card games before it happened, I would have praised their defense so much, but they got carved up by no-name guys from Houston, and CJ Stroud just balled out and tore them up. But I felt so bad for Joe Flacco too, honestly. I'm not trying to be like a super fan or anything of his, but whenever I did end up seeing those two pick sixes happen almost right after one after another, I was like, their whole season is done. They're all their hopes and dreams just crumbled just like that. Like they had a good drive going. I think it was 14-14 at the halftime, I think. And then I think it was 14-21 before Joe threw his first pick six. And I was like, oh, boohoo, that happened. And then a couple plays happened later after that from him. And then he threw that other pick six. I was like, oh, their season just ended right there. And I was sad for them. But I mean, credit to the Texans. They absolutely showed out. They showed why they deserve to be in the playoffs, and they can make a good run, barring this next week against the Ravens. And I know for a fact one of us three, is gonna have some choice words for that matchup next week.
Oh,
Definitely
Let
gonna be fighting some demons.
let me just also I don't mean to pile on Sam so much right now, but I have the ammo for it, and so I'm going to. But don't worry, I'll make sure to let Matt know when I feel he needs to hear this. Because this is maybe isn't what Sam wants to hear, but it's what he needs to hear. So Sam did. It was honestly a really nice gesture because he went out of his way to make a playoff rankings list in our
Oh,
sports chat before the playoffs, like maybe a few days
Oh,
before. And so Sam, let me just say this. He ranks Houston 12th out of 14 teams, and he ranked Cleveland 5th. And so it's basically like a 5 versus 12 in March Madness, That's like the vibe we're getting
it
here.
happens, yeah.
And the
Upsets
12,
happen.
but not only did the 12 win, they blew them out. That's the thing. That's like if the 12 seed won 84-57. That's basically what this was. And
We've
so,
seen it. We've seen it before in the past.
yeah, Sam's rankings. Hey, you're right. We've seen it before. Upsets happen. So I don't think there's any shame in it, but I just wanted to let everyone know that your bracket had the 12 seed being the 5 seed essentially
I
in a
know.
way. So
That's sad. I think I also had the Chiefs as like number 3, which is fair in all doubt, but that Texans pick was definitely it did not sit very well.
Let's just say Sam's playoff ranking list got us a little heated. I can just tell you that much.
You got somebody a little heated, that's for sure.
yeah, Matt,
It was
Hey.
you, Matt.
Hey,
Eric.
I call it like I see it, dog.
Nah,
Okay.
I know who you're talking about.
And
But
guess what? If we did my power ranking list, I think all the teams that I would have had in the top 8, I think would still be there. But
no way.
pretty close. I wouldn't say my power ranking list. Obviously, I told Charles I did choose teams before the playoffs happened. So far, all of them have won. So hopefully my streak can continue for this next week. So hopefully we're going to keep doing that. However, we're going to talk about some underachieving teams because we're going to the NFC playoffs, and a lot of these teams are from the NFC least. So without further ado, we have the Green Bay Packers, who probably should have been the 2 seed, JK, but they should have, versus the Dallas Cowboys, or, just the annual choke job of the year. We had the Packers not only just beating them, thoroughly beating the Cowboys. Unlike Sam's comment about the Washington-Michigan game, this game actually was not close, even though the scoreline was very close, was closer than what it should have been. But I believe it was 45-32, I believe is what it ended up being.
It was 48-32, but the score was 48-16 with like 6 minutes left. So
yeah, so
empty
Cowboys,
calorie Dak, as they call him.
Hey, as Stephen A. Smith says, how about them Cowboys? And that's all I have to say about that because I don't really want to talk about the Cowboys. So
Did I? Okay, I'm gonna gloat here just a little bit because this is like the one thing that I got right on the head and probably will get for this entire playoffs and maybe the rest of my sports career, to be honest. I literally called it when the last Sunday when the matchups were set. I texted our sports chat. I said the Packers are going to beat the Cowboys. They'll come out not ready to play like they normally do. And that's literally what happened. Like nail on the head, word to word. It was 27-0 before halftime. The Cowboys stunk. I was honestly I thought it would be similar to like the Niners Cowboys a couple years ago. You remember when Jimmy G was there and they won because the Cowboys just didn't look ready? I thought it'd be similar to that. I did not think it would be 27-0, 48-16 type of game. But I knew I watched the Packers against the Bears week 18. I hadn't really watched them. I knew they struggled early on, but Jordan Love's been on fire. I watched that game and I said, this Packers team can play. I know that score against the Bears was only like 17-9, but there was a couple little miscues that would have prevented it from being a bigger score. But I watched that game and, the Bears have been playing good too. And I said, this Packers team is good. Like Jordan Love is playing great football right now. I was really impressed. And so that's why I said they're going to beat the Cowboys. I don't think people realize how good they're playing right now. And it showed. And so, man, we talking about Texans going to the Ravens, right? I mean, the Packers going to the Niners. That's probably got to be scary for the Niners with how the Packers have been playing and how Jordan Love's been playing. But it always feels great to see the Cowboys lose. It makes me so happy. 28 years since the NFC Championship game for them.
27.
And let's keep it going. But, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, he owned the Cowboys, but luckily Jordan Love has developed that gene in him to be the Cowboys owner and continuing the trend. And of course, Aaron Jones, the Cowboy killer, another great game against the Cowboys. So, because he was from El Paso, wanted to be a Cowboy. Fun fact.
It's great to see the Packers, absolutely ball out too. I think we can all collectively agree that we love seeing Dallas choke again and again, especially in the playoffs. But it's really refreshing to see at least one really solid, like young playoff team have a good run so far with the Texans and the Packers. I really do think between the two teams, I think the Packers might have a little bit of a better shot to making like a good genuine run. Now, the game against the 49ers will be a real test, but Jordan Love has definitely proven and he stepped up to be like the guy too. I mean, credit to him where credit's due. I mean, he's made like absolute plays where he's needed to, and he's really impressed me personally. I don't
Honestly,
know if
same.
he's but
He's really like same. Honestly, he's really
oh,
impressed
yeah,
me.
yeah, 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 I agree. Yeah. I don't know comparing him against CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud's definitely been the best rookie quarterback, but Jordan Love has been probably the
He-
best quarterback to have the first full season behind his
yeah,
back too. So I mean, credit to both of them. It's a lot of fun to watch so far. I'm happy that we don't have to face the Packers with us being in the AFC. The Mahomes can breathe a sigh of relief a little bit, but it was a lot of fun
Oh,
to watch. I
well, that's just because
definitely
of what happened earlier this year. That's why you're saying that.
that is true. That might be a little bit true, I have to admit. But that I definitely turned the TV off after the Cowboys got absolutely stomped. Like Matt said, the ending score doesn't do justice. Dak Prescott probably saved his little bit of his career just by throwing a couple garbage time touchdowns. And somehow dude, I didn't bet on it or anything, but I was so shocked to hear when Jerry Jones had that press conference defending Mike McCarthy. He is such, on the Cowboys at least, he has not been a good coach at all. He should have gotten the
Yeah,
boot. I don't know why he's still there.
they kept him. Let's go.
If I was Skip Bayless, I
He
would be.
he lost his mind. Yeah, I was listening to or he like tweeted like the night it happened. Yeah, they literally kept Mike McCarthy, which is so funny. I was gonna
Yeah.
mention that real quick, and also the Packers are literally the youngest team in the NFL too. So that's actually I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Mhm. That's scary.
Well,
That is.
now let's move on. I want to kind of save the other game for last. So we'll just do the Buccaneers. It was the 4 versus 5. Buccaneers versus Eagles. Buccaneers won. I think it was 32-9. Um, wheels were falling off the bus for the Eagles. They were 1-5 the past 6 weeks. I didn't think they were going to get stomped by the Buccaneers, but I just saw a team that was just going the wrong direction, and it's kind of hard to pull yourself out from a direction like that. And AJ Brown was gone, so I was like, yeah, that's probably going to be a Buccaneers win, and it was. Baker looks good. He knows how to use his weapons, his offensive weapons, is Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and he played a great game. So Buccaneers won and was not a surprise to me. So
Yeah, this the Eagles collapse, this whole collapse from the past few weeks needs to be like a case study. It's kind of miraculous how it happened because I only watched a little bit of the game, but I did watch the highlights at the end too, and the Philly defense looked terrible. Like they allowed such an easy like 30-yard touchdown pass. I believe it was to Godwin. It should not have been allowed as a touchdown pass. Baker kind of just threw it up in the air, and the cornerback wasn't really paying attention, so they just let it catch and walk in. But it was kind of embarrassing. If I was a Philadelphia fan, I would kind of be crying a little bit. But your NFC East friends, the Cowboys, they did even worse, so you got that to write on. So you're not the worst of the worst, at least, but that was embarrassing. Definitely one of the more disappointing wild card games for sure.
I know Philly was 10-1 at one point, but they didn't feel 10-1 to me. I kind of I don't know if I sensed this bad of a collapse, but I sensed a somewhat of a fraud in them even when they were at 10-1. But yeah, I honestly was not shocked that they lost this game, especially and how much they lost by because they didn't seem like a team that was inspired, that was together, that cared really. So many missed tackles on defense. You're not going to win playing like that. And the offense, I think Jalen Hurts obviously was banged up, and so it just his play really suffered down the stretch. And yeah, I mean, if you're an Eagles fan, you can't be feeling great right now. Last year was the year to win it for sure, and they had they were right there. And so this was very miserable performance, and I was really nothing more to say, honestly, except I'm sad Jason Kelsey's retiring, obviously, potentially at least. He said on his podcast he'll make the official announcement if it's time. But, you know, it's still, yeah, there's nothing else really to say about it except It's just, and I mean, I don't mean to go back to Sam's tier list again, but I also nailed this pretty well. I called him out because he ranked Philly eighth. He ranked him ahead of Detroit, LA, Green Bay, even Houston, and I called him out for it. I said Philly over those teams is absurd to me. They're playing terrible. They're like the second worst team besides the Bucks, but even then I didn't know, and I said that. So again, Sam with another miss on his list, but it's okay.
I
It
did not
happens.
know.
It happens.
I did not know. Yeah,
You
I did
you
not.
you said you took previous success into account, and that's fair. And obviously the Eagles
Yeah.
made the Super Bowl, so I get that. But
Yeah.
I could sense this coming a mile away, and
Yeah.
they're just not. I don't know.
I
Terrible.
guess I didn't follow the last few weeks for the Eagles because they have been embarrassing and none of the like general public really wants to watch that team. But I really do think you kind of have to point some fingers. I would like to believe if you're an Eagles teammate right now, the whole locker room is probably crumbling. I believe you're gonna have to point some fingers at Sirianni. I do not think he does a good job at all of leading his team. He's about to have one of the best centers, arguably of all time. He's about to walk away. It's kind of a bad time to be a Philly
Nick
fan right now.
Sirianni.
Dude, he is what is he doing? I think the whole peak of his career was, I believe it was around halftime when Philly was kind of making a comeback during the last Super Bowl. And Sirianni got so hyped up that Jalen Hurts had to calm him down a little bit. And that's
Well,
just
they were winning by 10 at halftime of the
they
Super
were for
Bowl.
a
So
little bit.
like, yeah,
They were for a bit, yeah.
Nick
But I mean,
Sirianni.
that kind of just
I don't
gives,
like him.
I know, it kind of just gives more explanation of how Sirianni's career is going. He's just kind of gloating and really like emphasizing his small little successes. That's mainly from Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown, and he's just there to steal all the credit. Someone's gonna give him the boot sometime soon. If I was an Eagles fan, I would not be happy with him at all. It really makes me like very happy to have Andy Reid, one of the GOAT coaches, as my coach. He seems like a real dad to me. I could see him like making breakfast for me and
There's the Chiefs
helping me
again.
out, giving me dad advice.
Anyways, we can get off of this subject here and stop talking about the Chiefs and all that crap. Let's talk about probably the best game of the whole weekend. The Rams versus the Lions, where the Rams were the 6th seed facing the Detroit Lions as the 3 seed. This game was very good. It was close until the very end. Rams had chances to win it. Obviously, the Lions won it. But Lions played a great game, did what they were supposed to do, and I'm really happy for them. They won a playoff game for the first time since what?
91.
91?
It's been like what, 33 years?
What?
I think 32.
32.
So I think it might have been 92, but yeah.
Anyways, they won a game. It was awesome. Pretty cool to see Matt Stafford go back to Detroit. Puka Nacua had a record for most receiving yards as a rookie. That's my BYU guy right there. And yeah, best game for sure.
Did you know him at BYU? Like, did you meet him?
Did I know Puka? I saw him, I think maybe once, like around and stuff, maybe once or twice. But he was not.
That's enough to credit him as your guy then.
General presence.
Matt sees someone, he goes, "That's my guy."
Well, I mean, he went to my school. Like, I love Puka.
Pukamon.
Puka, yeah, Pokemon.
Here's the thing: when Zach Ball's out, is he my guy? Unfortunately, yeah.
Oh yeah, don't bring that up. Matt's worst take of the year when he said he'd rather have Zach Wilson over Brock Purdy, but
Yeah. Oh gosh, Matt.
and also being in the kiddie pool for Zach Wilson, bro.
Well,
Nah.
I don't think I ever said I'd have Zach Wilson over Brock Purdy. I did not say that.
No, you didn't say it, but you're like, well, I love Brock Purdy, but his schedule isn't as hard as Zach Wilson's. And then I joked, oh, so you think he's better than Brock Purdy? And you were like, no, I didn't say that. But yeah, I was just messing with you.
That whole Zach Wilson kiddie pool thing was an absolute joke.
I think the kiddie pool is fried up now. I don't think it's there
The
anymore.
kiddie pool's fried up, yeah.
Frozen
The
over.
utilities came
Matt
back
had to
out
get
of
out.
water.
But that's besides the point. Anyways, Detroit Rams, great game. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I can say. I mean, great game. Goff played well. Laporta played well. Gibbs played well. Amon-Ra played well. Like the big people you wanted to. On the flip side, the Rams, Puka played well. Stafford did as well. Cooper Kupp was there. Like, this was honestly the game of the weekend for sure. So,
For sure. Yeah, pretty much what Matt said. It was a lot of fun to watch. Very first Lions playoff win in our lifetimes too, by far too. So that was really fun to watch. Dan Campbell, he absolutely poured his heart out, which is pretty amazing to watch on TV. Seeing all the crowd reactions too. It was awesome to watch. I believe Eminem was dissing Matt Stafford a little bit before the game, kind of giving him bad juju. I thought that was pretty fun since he's a pretty big Detroit native. It's going to be fun to watch too next week when they play the Buccaneers because thankfully, thank God for the Cowboys and the Packers. They have a chance to they're going to play the Bucs at home next weekend. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, see all the fans come out again. And I'm really wanting to hear what Charles' thoughts are because I'm sure him and Autumn were watching that game pretty closely and he's probably got a lot of hot takes from it.
We were, and she was hype and very nervous, but very hype, obviously. You know, this Lions team, I know it's been 32 years and it's great for them, but like with how this team has been playing and how I've been following them, it really doesn't feel like 32 years. It feels like that this team has already won, has already been in the playoffs type of vibe. Like I'm not surprised now that they had the win, and it's been so long because this team has kind of been this core has been together for a couple of years now, and you know it feels like they've been a playoff team. But still, you know, the fact that they did win finally is awesome, and it was a great game. Obviously, the Lions got off to a real hot start, and they played great. They were on fire, and I know they stalled off a bit, but you got to shout out the defense. 3 red zone trips for the Rams, 3 field goals. That was the game. That's what won it for them. And yeah, it's great for Detroit. I thought they would win, and I feel I feel like this team can definitely go further. But Puka is a dog. Honestly, he's super impressive for a rookie, and Stafford honestly he played really well. It was just those red zone trips that they couldn't convert. That's what killed him. But like besides that, he played a great game, and you really couldn't ask for much more. And I'm super happy for Detroit and the Lions, and obviously Ford Field was rocking. So yeah, it was. They didn't let the Matt Stafford coming back to Detroit, you know, become a curse or something. You know, get the best of them. They pulled out the win. So yeah, it was awesome. It was a great game. They were on fire to start the game. They were just rolling down the field.
Yeah.
And we were thinking when it was 21-17, this could be a 30s game. I did not expect it to end up stalling out like it did and only be 24-23. I was like, this game's gonna go in the 30s. But you know,
it's fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, how it happens, how it happened. A win is a win.
Exactly. Definitely the most fun to watch playoff wildcard game of the bunch. None of the other ones are really that close looking at them all, but the Lions Rams game was probably the best of the week.
Oh, it was definitely the best. Definitely. Guarantee.
Guarantee.
It looks like that is our wild card recap. That was a good, 35 minutes, boys. We went to town on those. So here's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, I've had to make sure I got my croissant before I left.
Yeah, because I believe we're gonna do another podcast next week. Actually, I know we will, and recap the next games. What we're gonna do is we're gonna switch it up. We're gonna give prediction of winner and the score, and then each person for like the matchup, give me an X factor of like who is the X factor that helped that team win. Does that make sense? So like let's say you think that the Texans win, who is the X factor that helped them win? You know what I'm saying? So that's how we're gonna do this. That way, 1, it can be a little quicker, but 2, we still get to talk about these, but the meat is gonna be next week when you recap, kind of what happens. So without further ado, we'll go back to the AFC. And we're going to start with Sam and myself, and Charles will be last for this matchup. But it'll be Ravens and Texans. You go, Sam.
Oh, gosh, that's a tough one. because the Texans have really proved themselves from this last week with the wild card game. I will have to respect Charles a little bit with this pick, and I will say Lamar is the X factor. He really comes out as a true playoff contender that he is, and he's made out to be with his little MVP trophy at his side. I'm going to say Ravens 28, Texans 24.
Oh, good game. Okay, and your X factor is Lamar?
Yep, Lamar.
Okay. I'm going to go Ravens 31, Texans 28. I think it's going to be a good game. X factor, I'm going to go different because I was going to say Lamar, but I think that's an easy choice for sure because he's obviously the player on the field, like without a doubt.
Right.
X factor for me, Zay Flowers. I think if Zay have like 100 yards and a TD, I think that helps Lamar just with his throwing and confidence. Granted, Mark Andrews could be back. That's what Harbaugh has said. He could be back. I don't think he will, but could. But I think when the passing game is going, that opens up the run game for the Ravens. So my X factor is Zay Flowers.
I think I don't like predicting scores, but I'm gonna go Ravens as well. I'm not gonna abandon them. I think they win 27-19, 27-20. That sounds good around there. I do not think that the Texans pour it on like they did against the Browns. I'm going to go for my X factor. I'm going to go to the other side of the ball because defense wins championships. And I think I'm going to go with either like Roquan Smith or one of our corners, maybe like Brandon Stevens, Marlon Humphrey, because Marlon Humphrey's actually banged up right now. I don't know if he's going to play yet. We'll see. So our secondary is a little banged up. So maybe Brandon Stevens, Kyle Hamilton, one of those guys, because we have to slow CJ Stroud down. That's going to be the key to winning this game. When we played them week 1, we won 25-9 because our defense really shut them down. And so, yeah, I think I think our offense is going to play pretty well, but like not amazing. I think we're just going to win a nice hard 27-19 game. But someone on the defense, in the secondary, I would say, to disrupt CJ Stroud.
Yeah. Well,
or Justin Matabike, our leader in sacks.
Yeah.
Our front to get to CJ Stroud to make him uncomfortable. That's going to be important. So,
I was going to say more on the offensive side, the GOAT Chief Orlando Brown too.
We don't even have him.
But
the Bengals do. So
we traded him to you guys.
About that.
We traded him to the Chiefs, remember?
Yes, you did actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys are the OG Orlando Brown guys. I had that mixed up then.
So because Sam's mind is on this game, let's have Sam go first. Next game is Chiefs versus Bills.
I think the Chiefs are always on my mind. Even when they're off season, I always think about Mahomes. But that's besides the point. I really hope this is a true rivalry, I think, between the Chiefs and the Bills. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. I'll try to speed it up a little bit and make it quicker. But it's gonna be a lot of fun seeing the Chiefs actually play their first away game at Bills Highmark Stadium too. I think it'll be very electric over there. It'll be fun to watch. I really hope on the off chance it'll still be higher scoring. I know the Chiefs have had a little bit of a mid-scoring year this year, kind of a slump, some people could say, but I want to be a little hopeful in saying the Chiefs will beat the Bills 35-29. It's a little high of a score, but I think the real X factor of the game outside of Mahomes, kind of like Matt was saying, if you just pick QB every game, is kind of the out pick. I'm going to pick Chris Jones. If Chris Jones can make a couple big plays on Josh Allen, it's going to be hard because Chris Jones is not very mobile of a defensive back, but and Josh Allen is a pretty speedy quarterback. He uses his legs pretty well. If Chris Jones, he can get a couple of good plays in, maybe a sack or two, combine a sack with maybe like Mike Dana or Karlaftis again, I think the Chiefs have a really good advantage with that. Mahomes will just take the way as he usually does, and we will ride off into the sunset. Go back to the Arrowhead Invitational, baby.
Well, that you're wrong because you picked the Ravens to win, so you'd actually be going to Baltimore. But
Oh,
we can call it the
maybe
M&T
not.
or Invitational if you want.
It doesn't have the same ring to it.
We
though.
can switch it. Hey, I'll go next, Matt. I'm gonna go Chiefs as well. As much as it pains me, as much as I want to make fun of Sam and pick the Bills, I just don't. I gotta see it first from Josh Allen and the Bills. I gotta see them win. They've been pretty disappointing the last few years. Obviously, they've lost to the Chiefs a couple times in the playoffs. I'm gonna go Chiefs. I think it'll be. I don't think it's gonna get to the 30s. I think it'll probably. I do think that Chiefs defense is for real, and I think that Josh Allen is gonna have some struggles against it. So I'll go. I think 28-17. Chiefs.
So basically, what they did at Arrowhead this year.
Well, didn't the Bills beat the Chiefs technically?
The
But
Bills beat us, yeah.
They did 21-17. I'm going Chiefs over the Bills 28-17. And I think the X factor is Isaiah Pacheco, because if the Chiefs can get a run game going, that's critical for their offense. It really helps them open things up. And Sam and I have talked about how important he is to your guys' offense. And those games you didn't have him, it was tougher on you guys. So I think he's the X factor.
Oh, he's very important, yeah.
Hey, I'm going to go Bills. I know Charles says I need to see it to believe it. I think this is the year. I think it's probably the best time to face the Chiefs because they do not have a true wide receiver one. Offense has not been as explosive as usual, and I think Sam would agree with me on this one. Not that am I probably a Chief hater? Probably. But is their offense as good as usual? I would say no. I think Sam would also agree with that statement as well. Therefore, I think this is the perfect time for the Bills to win. My pick, X Factor, is going to be another wide receiver. It's going to be Stephon Diggs because he's going to be matched up against the other X Factor I would pick if I was picking the Chiefs, L'Jarius Sneed. I think if he can beat L'Jarius Sneed, they win the game. If you look, when Allen and Diggs hook up and play really well together in the playoffs, they win the game, right? So to me, Bills win, and I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be 24-20 Bills.
Sam's got that written down, and he'll be ready to go if something else happens.
Here's the receipts.
Tell me that's fine, whatever. But I really do think if this is 1 year to beat the Chiefs, it's it. It's like, whenever the Patriots played in 2008 with Matt Castle, right? Like, that's kind of the year to beat the Pats in the playoffs. Because after that, you get break.
I get what you're saying.
Same thing with Mahomes, right? You don't have Tyreek. You don't really have that number one. Or wide receivers who you can trust, like, oh, they're going to catch the ball because obviously you've seen they can't. This is it. So that's why I picked the Bills.
Fair.
Going to the NFC, first place versus seventh place, we have the 49ers versus Packers. And let's start with Charles.
I'm going to go 49ers. I think they're going to be able to put up points against the Packers. I think this will be a little more high scoring. I think like 34-24, around that range sounds good. I think the Packers will cool off a little bit because I think the Niners defense I think they'll be more prepared more than anything, but I think they're a little better than Dallas. And I'm going to go Brock Purdy for the X Factor. I'm going to say quarterback because he's definitely their biggest question mark on offense. I would say they've obviously got all the pieces around him, and we've seen him play amazing. And when they click, they pretty much, I don't think anyone can beat them, but we've seen him struggle, Ravens game, the Bengals game, the Browns game. And so if you get that version of Brock Purdy, things, and obviously if the Niners trail, they do not have a good track record of coming back. That's going to be important. I think it really comes down to how he gets off to how good of a start he gets off to. If he gets off to a quick start, I think that really helps them and they get into a rhythm. So I do think they will, though. I'm going to go Niners and Brock Purdy's the X Factor.
Sam?
Yes. Well, I do agree with what Charles is saying, that Brock Purdy is the X Factor. He's really the one that leads the team to victory. But Brock Purdy doesn't really have that that real playoff. Sorry, doesn't have that real playoff success aside from last year. And I mean,
you won two games. I mean, that's
he did.
something.
He did. I mean,
he's won more than Lamar's won in his career.
Unfortunately,
already.
You did that to yourself. I didn't say that.
I'm just saying.
I really do think they would have had a good chance in the NFC Championship too if Brock Purdy didn't go out. But I kind of do want to point more towards another X factor player on that offense because that offense is truly potent. It's probably the best offense in the league for the entire year too. But for the score at least, I think it's going to be a little bit more spread out against the Packers. I don't think Jordan Love is going to be able to clutch up, unfortunately. I would give it 39-17 49ers. I don't think it's going to be very close of a game. My X factor would have to be George Kittle. For the offense to keep it going, I believe he's probably one of the biggest players. He's definitely one to have more of a boomer bust game. And I think it's always more impactful when he does have that game. McCaffrey, Debo, Ayuk are all fairly reliable, and Brock Purdy can do his own somewhat. I mean, he's had amazing games. He's also had really bad games, but it kind of also lies along with how George Kittle does as well. I mean, he's a big guy. He always seems to be open and is able to find a space. If you can just get the ball to George Kittle and let him make plays, I think he could really get the offense going and just not stop scoring points for the 49ers team and get that big victory.
Well, I'm going to go 49ers as well, but I'm going to go on defense side of the ball. And I believe this brother plays on them, but it's Nick, correct? Bosa plays for the 49ers. I think if he can have 1 or 2 sacks against Jordan Love, that helps collapse the pocket, make him a little bit uncomfortable. I think he is the X factor. Not saying that, like, I don't think if he doesn't play well, the 49ers aren't going to win. But if he does, like, I just, you're a 7 seed for a reason. Granted, are they playing well? Yes. But the 49ers are a little bit of a buzzsaw, I think. I think this game will be 35-20 towards the 49ers. And Nick Bosa is my guy. So he is my X factor. Now for the last game, we have.
Interesting, by the way, coming from a guy who went to Ohio State, but I thought you were a Michigan fan.
I know. Hey, I said CJ Stroud should be number 1 pick. Now, as a guy from Michigan saying that, right? So when you play against him for so many times and he wrecks your day, every time.
I think if CJ Stroud beat Michigan, those 2 years he started, I don't think you'd be saying that. But since Michigan beat them, I think that's why you're okay saying he should be number 1. But besides the point.
Nick Bosa beat Michigan.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
that's a good point.
Everyone.
This last one is going to be Buccaneers versus Lions. And we can start wherever.
I'll go
Charles,
quick.
Yep. Go for it.
Lions should win this game. I think they're going to make the NFC Championship game, which would be awesome. They should beat the Bucs. They're better than the Bucs. And I'll go Laporta. I know he had the touchdown, but he only had 3 receptions. It wasn't too involved. I think we see a little more Laporta this week. I think that really helps their offense. I think he gets more reps too because he was coming off the injury, which will help too. So Lions and Laporta. Boom, done.
Score.
Oh, yeah, my bad. Let's go 24-10.
Whoa, 10 points.
Yeah, I think
That's
the
a
Bucs
low.
are going to be a little low. I don't think the Lions are going to miss. Their secondary is kind of bad. 24-17. Let me give them another touchdown.
That's fair. Okay.
They're not going to miss
That's a little
tackles like the
fair.
Bucs did, or the Eagles did.
That's true too. I whenever I heard that score, I felt a little more bad for Baker Mayfield too. I feel like he would have thrown a fit if he heard you say that. But his team is only going to score 10.
7. Yeah, you're right. 17. 10's a little low.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, I can go ahead and talk next. I do agree with Charles. I think the Lions are a better team in most facets. They should truly beat the Buccaneers. If I were to give a score, I would say 24-20. Kind of close along with what Charles is saying. I think the defense does step up a little bit. On the contrary, though, I do think an X factor more for the game, at least for the Lions, would have to be Jared Goff. I really do think he's got everything riding for him. I mean, he has an amazing playoff team that he should continue with. He just got to make some fairly decent plays. just like the 49ers, he has so many really good weapons around him, like Gibbs, Montgomery, Laporta, Amon-Ra. The list kind of goes on. But I think if Jared Goff just continues making decent at least plays, giving the ball to his own playmakers, the team will be just fine. He's kind of had ups and downs in the playoffs in the past, so he has experience at least. Let's just hope that that playoff experience is on the brighter side for next weekend for him.
I'm going to go quick as well. I'm going to say Detroit wins. It's going to be 35-31, high-scoring game. X factor going to be Aiden Hutchinson because he's going to get 2 clutch sacks, and he's going to get a fumble recovery.
That's a cheap answer, just because he's right there. You don't
That's
have to
not
think
a
about
cheap
you know you have to think about that. He's right there. He gave it to you.
Bro, I had planned this out even before.
Is
Don't
this
give me-
true? Is this true, Matt? We might have to see the script.
Okay, let's see. How many of you guys picked defensive players? So
I
Charles picked the Ravens,
I did.
right? And that's it. I picked 2 defensive players. So
I picked Chris Jones.
well,
That's-
you had 3 X factors for you had the whole team as an X factor for the Chiefs. That doesn't count.
Not really. I said Chris Jones.
You said Chris Jones. You said who was your other guy? You said
I mentioned Mike Dana and George Karloff this, but
You
I only did because they're
and
on the defensive
also-
line.
and you also mentioned L'Jarius Sneed. Granted, not in this segment, but before. So I mean, like you said, and you said, and you said Patrick Mahomes. So you're just naming the whole team.
Yeah.
When you asked me an X factor for the Ravens, I said just the whole team.
Yeah, but that's what Sam said. For
just
the Chiefs.
just the Ravens in general. I mean, they're the X factor, right?
No, literally, Sam. Every time we say something, so what do you think about this game? Oh, Chiefs.
Whoa, whoa,
So-
whoa.
Matt's emotions are boiling over. We got to stop this podcast.
Hey, just saying, if the Chiefs win, Sam, you could definitely give him some crap for picking the Bills, but we'll see what
That's
happens. Because
true.
if the Bills win, he's going to give you crap. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
Hey.
I kind of feel like I have to give myself a little crap
Hey,
too.
I grew up being a Pats fan, and you guys always gave me crap when the Pats lost. So
That's true. You guys also had like what 11, 12 years of a dynasty. You had to you lived with it for a little bit. You're okay.
it was 20 years, but that's okay.
As Matt always says too, when Sam brings up the Chiefs winning a dynasty, he says, "Well, let me know when you win 6 Super Bowls." They could
We're
win a third
1/3
one
of the
this year.
way.
They'd be
We're
halfway
1/3
there.
of the way. So
Yeah.
But anyways, so it looks like those are our predictions. Thank you for letting us do the wild card recap. Obviously longer podcast, but
That always happens when we come back. We always
back.
Yeah.
It's been a month, hour 15 seems like that's just how it has to go, But I'm pretty excited, pretty stoked. I think the 2 best games are going to be on Sunday, which is the Bucks and Lions and Bills and Chiefs. So I'm hoping for some good games.
Yeah,
me
me
too,
too.
for sure. That's the main thing to take away. Let's have some good games, hopefully.
And let's not rage over sports teams, because do sports really matter at the end of the day? At Sam.
They do.
Well, maybe if we get jobs in the sports world, they will, but we don't have that
Yeah.
right now.
That's true.
Does anyone have anything else to say before we sign off?
No, do you
No.
have anything, Sam?
No, I don't have any thoughts. But
I'll
I
hit
mean,
us.
I'll say too. I was just gonna say it was a lot of fun to go back to it. It's a lot of fun, as it always was, to talk sports. I'm really excited to see how these divisional games turn out. We'll be sure to discuss it too.
We will discuss it. Don't worry. All right. Well, I will hit us with the outro, episode 47. Good long episode. We needed it on our return. We're going to be hopefully more consistent now in the upcoming months. And we hope you guys enjoyed our football talk. Got to talk about the College Football National Championship, as well as the wild card recap in the NFL and a little preview of the divisional matchups. But you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere else you get your podcast. We're on there, as well as a YouTube version. And so we hope you guys enjoy. But this is H Double signing off with Sam Cookie and Maddie B. And thank you guys for listening. And we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Peace.